Really, dude? Woo! Yeah!
Minutes, I said, there ain't no damn fish in this creek.
What's up, everybody? I'm Hank Veggian, and I'm going to do something today that I've been thinking about doing for a while, and that is I'm going to walk viewers through the 4 stages of grief in tournament kayak fishing. For real. I'm going to walk you through the victory I scored in a Central Carolina Kayak Fishing trail tournament at Lake Mackintosh, North Carolina in mid-April of 2023. I've been meaning to do this for a while. Just editing video, it's so time consuming and boring that so I finally sat down, did a kind of rough assembly edit, and I watched it and I thought, well, this is pretty good. Let me shoot some additional footage here in the workshop where I explain what's happening, right? And what is happening in that video, I really don't know. For those of you who don't know tournament fishing or kayak tournament fishing, you know, the real question is, why do we even do it? You know, and why would a 50-something professor go out there, burn 10, 12 hours in a tournament? It's physically exhausting, it's mentally exhausting, it costs money, you're smelly, you're hungry, it's crazy. Why do that? Well, you know, we humans have a tendency to complicate things. It's a beautiful thing. It's our imagination going full speed. It's like, oh, I'm going to do this. Let me change this. Oh, I'm going to do that. So there's a thought process involved in tournament fishing that's very compelling to me, and I love doing it. But I acknowledge the cruel joke that we play on ourselves. Like, you wake up, you think, today's my day. I'm going to catch them all. I'm going to empty that whole lake. I'm going to have a 50-pound bag, or I'm going to catch 120 inches, and I'm going to win, and no one's ever going to come close to the record that I set. You know? Adrenaline, coffee, sleeplessness, all those things combine to create that optimism when we push off from the bank, right? I didn't feel any of that in the morning of this tournament. Whatever cruel joke our imagination or our optimism plays on us, it wasn't, the comedian wasn't on stage that morning. I actually almost didn't fish the tournament. The night before, I told someone, hey, I might just skip it and sleep in. What had happened was the day before the event, which would have been Friday, April 14th, I took my kayak out to a local lake near my home, and the water levels were really high, and there was more rain on the way. I ducked and went under a bridge with my rods down. Everything was cool. On the way out, well, before I went back under the bridge, it had rained, and I guess the lake came up a little bit. So instead of barely making it through, I heard a scrape, and then when I turned around, my kayaks were, my rods were gone. 3 or 4 rods. One of them miraculously got hung on something and managed to stay in there. Then, after losing like $1,000 worth of rods and reels, I got a call from my mother. One of her close friends had passed away. She was terribly upset. I felt bad, like just nauseated between the 2 types of losses. It was terrible. So I was not in the mood to go fishing the next day. I had signed up for the tournament. Mackintosh is not a lake that treats me well. In the springtime, I don't have a good record on that lake. Summertime and fall, yeah, I love fishing there. But in the spring, the lake has never been good to me. So I just was discouraged. I was feeling down. But I had won the previous event at Falls Lake in this trail, CCKF. And I felt obligated to go chase some points. So I crawled out of bed. I got there kind of on time. And I launched. I got in the water just as everybody was leaving for their spots. I'll get to that in a moment. But I do want to say this. In this video, you're going to see something remarkable. I fished for 6 hours. I think it was about 6 hours, 5 or 6 hours. So 2/3 or 3/4 of the tournament time. And I only had one small fish. But I made a decision along the way to keep fishing. I didn't check out mentally, so I stayed focused, I kept fishing, and I just kept going. And then, boom, magic happened. I found a pool, and the water was high and flowing through it pretty well. Normally, that pool is either inaccessible or so low that the water levels aren't going to hold fish there, or you might get a couple of small fish. For some reason, that pool held a school of really big fish that day. I was watching the video, and you'll see that I had about 10 bites in the pool. I landed 7 or 8 fish out of that spot, and they were all keepers. In the end, it added up to the second longest limit ever caught to date. We're in July of 2023 in a kayak fishing tournament here in North Carolina. So I ended up catching 102 1/4 inches out of that pool. It was my personal best, and it was one of the more significant limits ever caught in kayak fishing to date. Since some of the clubs adopted a 5-fish limit. So that was pretty cool. But then I thought, you know, let me go back and check, because I take a lot of photographs before I had these Tacticam cameras. And I went back to 2019 and I found a picture of myself. So check this out. First, you're going to see the picture of me standing near the rocks. So I had paddled into that pool, but the water was only about this deep and crystal clear, and you can see that I'm standing right in front of the rapids. In the next photo, you're going to see me casting to the rapids, and you're going to see those same rocks. I'm going to point to them with an arrow, and you can see that in these two stills. So check that out. So, yeah, crazy, right? Like 4 years ago, I'm standing in the pool. 4 years later, I'm sticking 102 inches out of that same spot where I was standing 4 years ago. I actually went back to Mackintosh the following weekend. No, 2 weeks later. So this tournament was on April 15th. It was April 30th. So 15 days later, on a Sunday, I met my friend Larry there. And we fished around. I went back into that area again, and the water was a little higher, and there was not a single fish in that spot. A friend of mine had gone there the previous weekend in between my 2 visits, and had caught a couple of fish out of that area. Actually, it was Marcus, who appears in this video. He went back there. So yeah, there were fish back there. It was holding fish, but the water conditions had to be absolutely perfect to bring those fish in. So what you're going to see in this video is me just getting very lucky and catching a huge limit of fish. The journey to get there was as frustrating and crazy as anything I've ever experienced in a single day of kayak fishing. I wandered around aimlessly, just talking to people. This guy, that guy. Here's Peter. I'll tell him about my lost rods. I probably spent the first hour and a half, 2 hours just casting around aimlessly and talking to folks. Then I went up a creek and a truck drove through the spot where I wanted to fish. On my way out, in part 3 of this video, you'll see that I noticed something. The sun had come out and I saw that the water line, there was a mud line. So the creek I was in was very muddy, the first creek. I think it's called Rock Creek. The second creek where I won the tournament is Little Alamance Creek. That water was clearer, it was dark and clear, or clearer. And I noticed it when the sun came out, and I went up that way. That's where I saw Marcus, and we chatted up a bit before I went up to that spot. He actually stopped fishing and went back to the main lake where he had caught fish earlier. I saw him later in the day. There's an Easter egg. It's like a Marvel movie, but better, at the end of this video. So if you hang out, you'll see me talking to him at Lines Out back on the main lake. So anyway, along the way, I'm going to pause and just kind of walk people through what's in each part. But the big picture is here a bit crazy because I didn't want to fish, went fishing anyway, spent the better part of 5 or 6 hours regretting my decision, and then suddenly all hell breaks loose. So I'm glad I captured it on video, because those last couple of hours were as unforgettable and amazing and fun as any I've ever had fishing. It was better than the money. It was as good a feeling as you can have in competition, because you know that everything is going right. And when I say everything, you're going to see, like, I got really lucky at a few points landing some of those fish later on. If you want to skip over all the weirdness, like the truck driving through the spot, the mud lines, me talking to folks, then just jump ahead. You can forward all the way to part 4. It's labeled Hank's Island, because there was a little rock where I kept pulling up and taking pictures of my fish and uploading them after I caught them. So you can jump ahead to that. I think it's about half hour, 40 minutes into the video. I think the whole video is about 90 minutes long. Most of the footage at the end is unedited. That is to say, I just went cast to catch on most of it. So you'll see that there. And yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoy it. Sorry I got something in my eye, but that's Hollywood, you know? All right. Enjoy. Hey, what's up? So part 1 of this video, as I mentioned earlier, I just spent a lot of time talking, as I do now. That's why they pay me the big bucks. Actors, dialogue, you know, the method. So you're going to see in this first part of the video where I'm just wandering around hunting for something to do. I'm going to talk to a guy. There was a, when I launched on the Guilford side at the park. I went right to the left. There was a little area back there with a culvert, and there was another guy there. And before lines in, we were chatting, and I said, hey, you know, if you want to call this spot, I'll go fish somewhere else. He was like, no, we'll fish it together. We fished it. We didn't catch anything. I left. I see Larry. You're going to have to pardon the language there. Larry and I are Jersey strong, so it just comes out. I got some sunscreen in my ear hole. Very fashionable, total new trend. You'll see it all over social media these days. And then I move on. I start fishing my way up into the big creek there. I see Peter Ely, chat with him a bit. It's always a pleasure. basically what I'm saying is that I spent like an hour, hour and a half just fishing and talking to people. Way too much talking, way too much socializing. All you people need to start saying, Hank, shut up, get away from me, I don't want to talk to you, you bug me, go away, like shut me down, because I will just keep talking. On my way up to the two creeks, I did see Marcus Smith. It's not on the video. I think I was just paddling and I turned the camera off, but I do remember seeing him near the pipeline, and we chatted for a minute there. So part one of this video is basically me just talking and paddling and casting and getting hung up in trees. It's a disaster, and that was pretty much the theme of the day. Part two, it gets even worse. So enjoy this part, and see you on the back end. You fish here?
This is my first ever
Tournament?
tournament.
All right, brother. So just tournament etiquette. If you want to say, I'm calling the spot, like I will go fish around and wait until you're done.
Yeah.
Hey, you, Larry?
Yo,
What's up, motherfucker?
what the fuck, dude?
What the fuck are you doing?
I thought you were gonna be at the other side.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm all discombobulated.
It doesn't look bad up here at all.
No.
Yeah, I just kind of took the time this morning out of no hurry.
Yeah, well, here I go right now. All right. So. Make sure I'm not like Drew, get fucking chewed up by wasps.
I've had that shit happen.
I don't think they're out yet, but there's something here that doesn't look too kosher.
Nothing ruins a day like that.
Yeah, an early bath. You wearing them out?
How about you?
Hell no. I'm thinking I need to leave my. I don't know what I'm gonna do. How you been, man?
I've been alright, man. Did you flip or something?
Nah, I went under a bridge, and it was, you know, there wasn't a lot of clearance. So I was down like this, like pulling myself on the girders. I went through the first time, no problem, but I think the lake went up. So when I went back out, I had everything like tied down like this, flat. I don't know if you can see it, there's a scuff on my seat right here.
Oh, wow.
So what happened was my seat was flat down. It didn't touch the first time, and I went through the same area. The second time, I think the water went up from the rain. I didn't touch, like my body didn't touch, so I thought I was fine. I felt like a something. And when I got out under the bridge and I was able to get up and turn around, I only had one rod back here.
Think they all live in free.
Yeah, I know the area. I'm going back tomorrow with some hooks and magnets. Maybe I'll get lucky. It hurt, man. So, part two, Lake Mackintosh, CCKF. As I said, I left the launch. I was paddling around. You saw me talking. I must have chatted with about a half dozen people on the way up. How you doing? How's the family? I lost some rods. I hate this lake. The usual topics. Now you're gonna see I come up to the creeks, the two creeks in the back. There's a fork in the road. As Yogi Berra said, take it. Well, I took the right side, look at the picture. So I'm going in. It's overcast, and you're going to see that it's hard to see the mud line. So my plan was I'm going to go fish up near the I-85 bridge. Everyone talks about the truck that drove through my fishing spot. Absolutely crazy. You'll see the full video of that here. Notice also that when I was watching the truck, there was a laydown in the creek. On the way back, I catch my first fish off of that laydown. It was my first keeper, my first bite of the day. By then it was like 10 o'clock in the morning. The sun was coming through the clouds, and I was thinking about going home and getting some lunch. However, on the way out, you're going to see how bright and sunny it got. So at the beginning of part 3, that photograph you're going to see right now becomes important, because I'm going to contrast it with the next part. Anyway, enjoy the truck. You can see here that he got stuck briefly, and I was sitting there. I was mildly enjoying that, because I figured if you're going to drive through my fishing spot, you might as well get stuck while you're at it. It is what it is. Craziest thing I've ever seen in a tournament. Still caught a fish kind of in the area, but it definitely wasn't what I was hoping for. There was a silver lining. It made me leave that area earlier, and that's when I went out and noticed the other creek had better water. So yeah, enjoy. Really, dude? please get stuck. Alright, what's up? So here's where it starts to get interesting. This is the moment where the narrative begins to slope in a different direction at another angle. So we can talk about fishing a little more here. But first, let me talk about Marcus. Marcus Smith, unbelievable fisherman. I call him the Steel Curtain because originally he's a Yinzer, but he's Carolina country through and through. And boy, can he catch them. Marcus and I have an old joke going way back that whenever we see each other on the water, we're going to have a bad day of fishing. That was true for years. But I will say this about Marcus: on those occasions when he is not near me, we're not fishing the same area, that dude has some significant tournament victories on his resume. The KBF Trail at Santee in 2019, he beat a really stacked field of 100 plus there. Turned around, came home, and won a Queen City event the next week. The next weekend. I think it was on Norman. So the dude can catch fish. Like I said earlier, I saw him when I was going up. Now I'm going to see him again. I'm coming out of the creek where the truck drove through my spot, and I'm going to notice the water line. I'm going to make a right and go up Little Alamance Creek. And about a quarter of the way in, I see Marcus. I sneak up on him while he's fishing. And basically we fished side by side all the way up. We did not, however, joke that we weren't going to catch fish, and here's why. 2 years ago at Randleman, we saw each other at the launch, and we realized we were heading to the same spot. And we joked, well, I guess we're not going to catch any fish today. We rotated in and out of this one area in a creek in Randleman, or on Randleman, and he eventually ended up winning the tournament, and I think I got 4th place that day. So since that time, the joke has become stale, because we've seen each other on the water and caught fish. The spell is broken. I love fishing near the guy. He's just a good listener, and he's also a good talker. So he's got that Yinzer flow that I particularly admire. Anyway, Marcus and I fish up this creek. You're going to see that I think I started out, when I noticed that mud line, I started fishing a chatterbait. This is a Z-Man. This is the Freedom model. I'm a fan of this one. I don't see a lot of people throwing it. I think I was throwing this one in a lighter color. Then I switched back to what I was catching, what I caught that one fish on, a small, natural crayfish colored jointed crankbait. Then my camera battery died. I had to switch it out. And Marcus and I parted ways. Like, he stopped to fish and I proceeded upstream, and I just kept going. You'll see the camera just cuts out at one point, and that's when I picked up a different rod and I started fishing with this. I did have, well, the larger crankbait. So if you look here, you can see the difference between them. This is the SR5 and this is the SR7. The bigger one is what I caught them on. You'll see that in the next part. I also had my customary pop-R, but I didn't throw it much that day. And I had a shaky head that I threw for a little while. But that didn't really pay off either. So this section of the video is significant because I noticed the water line. You're going to see the difference here. I got 2 screenshots, and then I'm going to fish my way up with Marcus for a couple minutes. Fast forward, boom, we get to the fish. Jackson Drive is quiet. Alright, so here's part 4. It's hard to describe that feeling that you have in a tournament when you realize everything is on fire and nothing can go wrong. Even when things do go wrong, they don't go wrong. And you're going to see that here. I hadn't watched this footage all the way through, so watching it while I was editing the footage made me notice a couple of things. I lost some fish, or that is, I missed some bites. I did lose one fish in spectacular fashion. It jumped clear out of the water through the bait. It was a big fish. I probably caught that fish later, but I might not have. There were some really big fish in that pool. What happened? Like I said earlier, the water level was perfect. It brought the fish up into those rocks and rapids, and they parked behind that one rock for the most part. If you watch my casting technique here, as I go in, right? So first, I change the camera battery, and you see me messing with this, the remote, the Tacticam remote. Then I head into the pool. I had noticed when I got to that area, I was looking around that tree that was blocking the view, and as I was looking through it, I saw little fish popping back there, like something was back there moving, and I thought, let me go take a look. Can't hurt. I was a little worried about the water levels in terms of the rocks and my pedal drive, but that Jackson pedal drive, when it hits a rock, it just kicks right up into the hole, and that rarely happened. The water was just right for me to hold position with the pedal drive and make my casts. So when you see me position the boat into the current, you're also going to hear me doing this. That's the rudder control on my new Jackson Bite FD. Normally I'll put some tape on here and pad it so it doesn't make this noise, but I hadn't done that yet, so it's a little noisier. You're going to hear me doing this a bit in the video. Another noise you're going to hear is a rattling sound while I'm reeling. That is a broken guide on a rod that I was using. So normally I would use a stiffer rod for a heavier crankbait, but my good rod, my Yak Rods Foundation Series spinning rod, was at the bottom of a lake in Orange County. So I didn't have my full arsenal of preferred rods, which are almost all Yak Rods manufacturer. I dug around here. Actually, you can see them behind me. These are some of my older rods and spare rods, and I pulled out that spinning rod. It was a little sturdier, but it had a broken guide. I didn't notice it. In fact, I hadn't fished with that rod all day until I got back to that area. And when I did, I was like, whatever, I'm not catching fish anyway. So you'll see in the first cast here, you'll see that rod guide dangling between two of the guides, and it's like, you can hear it buzzing around. And at one point in the video, I'm actually untying it from, it got wrapped around the rod itself. So, kind of a weird moment. I went back there, I saw fish moving, I made a cast, and a white perch grabbed the lure. At first I thought it was a white bass, and then I was like, oh, white perch. Alright, so I caught a white perch. I got rid of the fish, and then pandemonium. You're going to see in the footage here, cast to catch, no edits for the first 2 fish. The first 3 trips to that spot produced 3 keepers. One of them was a 21.5-inch bass, and the other was a 21 3/4. So 2 of my first 3 fish were giants. The 21 3/4 ended up winning big bass for the day. That pot fell to me. That was actually the 3rd longest fish in the tournament, but one guy ahead of me got disqualified. His fish was, no, he wasn't disqualified. His fish was denied because of a photo submission error, and another one didn't sign up for the big bass pot. Like I said, it was just my day. Good luck. It happens sometimes. So my first 3 fish, boom, boom, boom. Then you're going to see me going back and forth. The important thing that I noticed while watching this footage was that I was very methodical about working over that area. Like I said, I was throwing this Rapala SR7 jointed crankbait, and I'm just working the current lines. I'm looking for the scenes. You'll see I'm fan casting. Notice I make some really good casts. I only got hung up once later when I started getting tired and a little lazy, and also because I started fishing more and more toward the rapid. I was working my way in. If you start fishing from the rapid down, you're going to spook fish, because those fish that are farther in the front of the chow line, they're going to see those fish getting caught and pulled out and think something's wrong. What's happening? I'm out of here. So I worked my way into the pool methodically from the nearest to the farthest possible casts as the day went on. But by methodical, I also mean something else. If you look at that pool in front of me, there's an eddy behind the boulder. It makes like a semicircle, right? I would catch a fish out of that eddy, then I would just drift downstream, and there was a little island with a kind of a rock shelf on it, and I would just park sideways up against that island. The current would pin me on it, and I would leave the fish in the net. That little shelf let the fish relax. It stayed in the water, kind of recovered itself a bit, and then I would photograph the fish, submit it, release the fish, go back in. So the reason I left this footage unedited where you see me going through that is so that, or for the first 2 fish at least, is because you can see that I'm not just going all out and bombing the hole as quickly as I can. That eddy remained productive, in my opinion, because I was going back there every 5, 10, 15 minutes. Like, at one point, I take a break, I eat some lunch, I take a phone call from home. Like, I'm taking it easy. Notice also I keep looking back because I'm worried that Marcus is going to come in there, and I'm going to have to share the spot with him. Normally I wouldn't mind that, but I knew that area was special, and I wanted to catch a good limit before that happened. So I caught 7 fish, 8 fish out of that eddy. I lost a couple other bites, but I was there for 2 hours plus. Like, I got there, started fishing around noon. I left around 2, and made my way back down to the main lake. Lines out was 2:30, I believe, for the tournament. So, yeah, it was crazy. Like, I fished through that area very slowly. Not to say I was fishing slowly. Like, the lure retrieve, whatever was happening there, you can see it on video. What I mean is that I was leaving the spot alone. And I think that was important. I didn't realize it in the moment. Everything was happening so quickly. My adrenaline's through the roof. I'm partying. go Yanks, and I'm like, yeah, okay. The end result, as I noted earlier, was that I kept myself entertained. You see, I talked to myself a lot. So the business about socializing earlier, I keep doing it. I'm just socializing with me um, through a lot of this. The end result, though, is that my best 5 fish out of that spot were 102 and a quarter inches. That last fish really nailed it. That 19 and a quarter that you see here, that was an upgrade of over more than 1 inch. That put me into over the 100 inch mark, I believe, or if put me definitely out of range from my nearest competitor. I think second place had upper 90s, 98, 99 inches. Um, so that last one really put it out or nailed it down for me. But the actual winning fish, you hear me call it on here, um, that fish put me over 100 inches. I wasn't aware of it at the time, but that was the winning fish. And I pulled a Babe Ruth, and I was like, I'm going to catch the winning fish on this cast. Boom, it happened. So, crazy day. I got really lucky. Unforgettable stuff. As you can see, nothing crazy about what I was doing. I was just throwing this lure and pulling it home. And every few casts, a big fish would grab it. At one point on the video, you're also going to see a double hookup, and when I netted the fish, the bigger one stayed hooked up and the smaller one got away. Crazy. I want to thank Marcus Smith for the good company. I saw him as I was going in. I saw him when I made the turn up Little Adelman's Creek, and I saw him on the way out as well. I definitely want to thank Mitch Lassiter for the amazing job he's done as a tournament director with Central Carolina Kayak Fishing. It's become my trail that I fish the most, simply because I like the camaraderie, but I also like the lakes. This was my 4th win in the CCKF fishing, and I'm very proud of that because that club has got some killers in it. There's some really good talent in that on that trail, and it's all guys who fish the same water, familiar with the waters. So on any given day, it's a slugfest, and this was a real slugfest. We'll see what happens. CKA is going to Mackintosh in a couple of weeks, and who knows? Right now, that lake is on fire. It's the best lake in North Carolina. I've got an article about it I'm going to put up on my website. Yeah, so thanks for watching. Thanks, Mitch, for running a great club. Thanks, Marcus, and everybody else who I see in the video for just being good people. And enjoy the video. All right. Thank you. I'm running out of options here. I need to fish through. I'm not even going to retie with this broken guide here. Guess I could do something with it. I don't know. At this point, I need all the help I can get. I only got 1 fish. It's almost midday. The bite I'm hearing is slowed down. Mackintosh is doing me wrong. This is what Mackintosh does to me this time of year. However, I saw some fish moving up this way. I'm going to investigate. Those rapids right there.
comfortable seam, lay down, what? Because these fish can be just about anywhere. Big fish. Nice and long fish. Yeah, baby. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Woo! Yeah! All right.
I'll get you right in a second. Just let me take care of business. can't find a few more. Another big fish. Oh my God. How did that happen? That was another 5-pounder. Oh my goodness, what is this? I am on 'em. You're not even the big one that just jumped, are you? Anything float down? yeah, this is a good one. Another big one. Stay in there. Oh my God. Yeah. Ha 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 ha! Bye-bye. One more fish. Come on. See if there's one more fish in that spot. And then I'll call the small one I got earlier. What? Almost gonna land that one. Fish your way in. Oh my God, I got another big one. Nope, lost it. That's unbelievable. There are more fish here. Felt like a good one too. Fish. Oh my God, another big. What happened? Is it gone? Oh, it's gone. Damn it, what's going on with these fish? Yeah. Oh my goodness. First of all, make sure this doesn't happen. That's my limit. Central Carolina Kayak Fishing, Lake Mackintosh. April what? 15? Yup. 2023. Yeah. I lost another biggie back there for a minute. I think this is the small one that I missed earlier. Oh man. I'll take it. I got my limit. Mackintosh. You mine. I'm gonna waist down. Let's see if I can upgrade, and then I will take my customary lunch break. Woo! Oh my goodness. Thank you, Jackson Kayak, for this beautiful drive. Let's do this, man. Let's put it away. Alright, this is going to be the winning fish. This upgrade right here. Come on. Oh my. Oh, this is a really good one. I like to hold the fish. How does that even happen? Oh, I got two. Oh my God, there were two hooked up. And the bigger one stayed hooked. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Oh, that almost cost me a whole bunch of grief. Almost. There you go. Don't jump. I can't believe that. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? What? 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 Oh my God. Sorry, Gabriel. I haven't even fished some of those other spots up there. Oh my God, now that I think about it. Why am I even paddling? Why am I paddling? That was a bite. Oh, no, not up the tree. Get out of the tree. Might not be the game changer. as I'm pulling fish out of this other pool, I'm not even going to hit those other riffles. Alright. Keep doing what I'm doing. Is that a fish? Oh my, I just lost something big. That was a big bite. Alright. Focus, Henry, focus. Get your first 100-inch day. Come on. Almost there. Uh-oh. What happened here? Can't lose this lure. Hold on. Got it. Kingfisher. I know there's an 8-pounder in here. Shit. That might be all she wrote, folks. See how I go in here without destroying the place. Alright. I blew it out. Oh, that's a good one. Oh, please be a 20. Please be a 20. Oh, my. He might be a 20. Nope. Doing a 20. You know what? You're a keeper. Again. Tree. Bad place. My 18 pink. Kind of feeling it. Kind of feeling it. It felt like a good fish. It's going to be close. It's going to be close. Gonna be close. Oh man, you're a beauty. Oh, it's gonna be close. Yup. You're a 19. You are a 19. You're a 19 and a quarter. by Hank's Island. Island of great ambitions. La scoglio del futuro. Okay, I'm finished. Pecked something at the surface, and I was like, what's that? I went back there, I caught like an 11-inch white perch on my first cast. And I was like, huh. I was like, and I was looking at the rapids, and there was a big boulder with a pool around it, like just a big eddy. And I was like, first cast, 21 and a half.
You shouldn't.
No, I caught a 21 and a half, a 21 and 3/4, a 20, a 19 and 3/4, and a 19 and 1/4.
Hell yeah, dude.